finding the training so far?
Um, yeah, it's been good. It's been very informative. I think what I've liked the most is the conversations that we have. Um, just because it puts everything into perspective.
Okay.
Like it's very easy to kind of look at a Word document or whatever and try and read it and take in the information. But when you actually have a conversation and you're able to have examples and relate it to how it goes into your field and what you do, yeah, I think it really helps. So it's been a very educating 3 days.
Okay, that's good. Do you mind if I ask what you actually do, what you're going to use the training
Yeah,
for?
yeah, I'm a behavioral mentor in secondary school. Well, in SEMH school,
Okay.
primary and secondary. So yeah, that's what I currently do.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right. So, if I was to ask you what two things you think you've gained from the training, could you tell me?
I mean, one of them is perspectives for sure. I think I've always been somebody who does kind of look at different perspectives and ways of looking at things, which is why I feel like I'm good as a mentor. But definitely being able to get the perspective of other mentors that are doing other things, and not necessarily just working in a school that has certain type of way of working. That's definitely one I would say. It definitely helps it to be transferable into my job. So I would say that's the main one, number one. I'd say the second one is appreciated reflection.
Okay.
Appreciate reflection, because actually in my job specifically, I haven't been able to actually reflect a lot as the day goes on,
Okay.
which obviously from what I've learned as well is quite important. I did know that, which is in terms of being somebody that reflects in general in their practice, I do that, but actually having a scheduled and kind of way so that you don't miss it because you're busy or you have this it's as important as all the other things you do, because it's actually part of growing your practice. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's the most important thing that I've learned, because as I said, I already kind of had those kind of foundations in place, but just knowing that it is something that you should be doing just as planning. And also planning is one thing that, although I understand its importance, I haven't always had the opportunities to do it in the role that I have at my work, because as a behavior mentor, it's not just a mentor, it's behavior management. So it can also lead to a lot of behavior management and very little mentoring, especially how it works in schools. It can get messy, so it's about trying to prioritize and have that schedule, and also being able to communicate with the people above as well, to say, well, I don't have the time to do this, and I don't have the time to do this, but it's important to have the time to do this, and this is why. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. So I think you kind of answered it. If you just like tell me again and maybe break it down a bit more, what you learned from the training that you're actually going to implement into your mentoring practice. You mentioned about planning and reflection.
Yeah, 100% planning. 100% planning. I feel like, again, when you're prepared, you're able to actually be able to outline what you want for the young person. You might know it already, and you might have everything stored in your head and whatever, but when you lay it down, it's actually it's a format where you're aware of what's going on and the young person's aware of what's going on, and it's not like a freestyle and a free flow, and it's an understanding that part of mentoring is important, just to be able to create a structure, and a bit of consistency as well. And in terms of reflection is the same thing. That structure and being able to have that in line with planning allows actually to have better reflection as well. To say, okay, this time I done this, I did this very well, but I came across an issue earlier, and I wasn't sure if I did the right thing. And then you have to reflect on that. And then if you have your mentor, or forgot the word, but you have somebody that you can share with also, will kind of help with the reflection. And these are kind of all the things that we picked up on the course, which is very, very helpful. And like I said, I did know some of these things already, but actually when you're hearing it from different perspectives on how it helps them, it also adds to the value of what you feel like it brings to you. So
it's kind of like you're understanding the how and the why you have to do these things, even though you knew you had to do them in the first place.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So were there like any light bulb moments, any like perspectives that you gained that you thought, okay, like even if you would think like maybe even what we just talked about, it could be something that you weren't aware of before and you thought, oh, okay, that's an interesting idea or a new perspective. Or it could be as simple as what we just said now, where it was a case of, yes, this is something I did, but then understanding the why it was so important, you know, that brought it into perspective and actually made you understand why you were doing it.
I think, again, this is something that I did already know, and being someone that's quite self-reflective, especially in my more recent years, but just understanding that, like childhood trauma, and how that affects you all the way for the rest of your life, and a lot of people don't even get to address it. They don't get to address it because they might not even understand the simple fact that actually whatever you've gone through growing up, or the traumas that you may have faced and whatever, that follows you, and it follows you on how you behave, how you react to certain situations. And again, this is information that I had in some shape or form knowledge of, but actually being able to go into to dive in deeper and to understand things that actually I understand more about myself. And then again, in my role, how many times have I seen this? And actually, even though I did know about it, was I able to recognize it? Was I able to be able to address the situation in the right way and in the correct way? Because again, one of the biggest things is, like, we are mentors and not therapists, and we can actually be able to, there's certain issues that we're not able to kind of address ourselves and kind of try and deal with it ourselves, because we're not trained to do that and we're not of that capacity. And kind of learning that actually I might have to signpost here, I might have to move it on to somebody else, because actually dealing with trauma and trying to tackle trauma can in fact cause more problems if you're not trained to do it the right way. So I would say that's definitely was a light bulb moment in a sense. Because what I would say is, when I did get into mentoring, I didn't have this training, which I'm doing it now, but I did take a kind of like introduction to mentoring. So there is a lot of things that I was aware of, and to a smaller extent, and have actually put it into practice. But then again, to be able to go into deeper, to take a deeper delve into these things, have actually allowed me to have a fuller mindset when approaching these things. But obviously there's always more to learn, but I definitely feel like I've come certainly progressed a lot in the course.
Okay, that's great. That's kind of all I have for you, unless there's anything you wanted to add.
No, I feel like I have said everything I could possibly say about
All right, great. Thank you so much. I'm happy to know that it's helped you in that way and helped you like be more aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. But yeah, that's great. What we love to hear. All right, thank you so much.
No problem.